I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Hey folks, today is Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries gives a blistering speech blasting Donald Trump's first 100 days. The economy is tanking. We're now behind other major countries. We'll break that down for you. Also, on today's show, we'll talk to some tech entrepreneurs who have developed technology to repair electric vehicle charging stations. Black-owned. We'll talk about that. Plus, Donald Trump gives a crazy, insane, outrageous interview with Terry Moran of ABC News. And he openly admits to defying the United States Supreme Court. Yeah, we're going to break that down for y'all. So it's a whole lot we're going to unpack, including another lawsuit at St. Augustine's University by its former president. Folks, it's time to bring the funk.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, is rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's rolling Martin, yeah. Rolling with rolling now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best. You know he's rolling Martin now.
Folks, President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris handed Donald Trump a thriving U.S. economy. Republicans have been lying about the economy. But guess what? Things have taken a turn for the worse. And that was a significant part of House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries' speech today, blasting the first 100 days of the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump. Here is what Jeffries had to say, which we live stream on the Black Star Network.
Right at the top, let me make one thing clear. The Trump administration has been a disaster. 100 years, 100 days in, Donald Trump and Elon Musk have failed to make your life more affordable. They failed to make you safer. They failed to make us more respected around the world. But their biggest failure is this: they have failed to appreciate the strength of the American people. During the dawn of the Republic, it was once observed that when people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. Donald Trump and Republicans thought they could shock and awe us into submission. They thought we would be too complacent to stand up for liberty and justice for all. They thought we would walk away from the principle of equal protection under the law. They thought wrong. They thought wrong. They thought wrong. Trump's unconstitutional assault on the American way of life is unprecedented. But the so-called dictator on day one is learning an important lesson. Americans don't bend the knee to bullies. In the face of tyranny, we join together. In the face of tyranny, we rise up together. In the face of tyranny, we get into some good trouble together. And we're just getting started. 100 days in, Donald Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president in modern American history. 100 days in, voters have elected Democrats in Republican-held districts all across the country, including in Iowa and Pennsylvania. 100 days in, Elon Musk spent $25 million to buy a state Supreme Court seat in Wisconsin and lost by double digits. 100 days in, more than 200 different lawsuits have been filed against the unconstitutional and unlawful executive orders of Donald Trump. And the American people are winning in court. 100 days in, principled opposition to Republican extremism is taking shape from sea to shining sea. The American people are rising up and making it clear that the Trump administration has a lot to fear. When my oldest son, JJ, was 9 years old, he played travel baseball with a group of his friends. Many of you know that travel sports can be taxing on the schedule. It's a labor of love for our children. During the season, it seems like almost every weekend, for several months, you're on the road. And so this one particular Memorial Day weekend, JJ had a baseball tournament in a little town off the beaten path somewhere in the Northeast. Travel sports can take you to some interesting places. I decided to make it a road trip and bring my youngest son, Joshua, with us. He was just 6 years old at the time. And so I said to him, he's going to come on this trip and it'll be like a vacation. What did I say that for, y'all? When I mentioned vacation, he had visions of Atlantis. So we pulled up to the motel where we were staying, and the situation was a bit shaky. My 6-year-old son looked at the motel, looked at me, looked at the motel, looked at me, and said, "Dad, is this where we're staying?" I said, "Yes, Joshua. Why do you ask?" He responded, "Oh my God, Dad, this is a debacle." 6 years old, I looked at him and said, "What does the word debacle mean?" He responded quickly. He said, "I don't know, Dad. It's something bad." This is the moment we are in right now in the United States of America, with Donald Trump and the Republicans in charge. Crashing the economy is something bad. Destroying Medicaid as we know it is something bad. Taking a chainsaw to Social Security is something bad. Raising costs on hard-working American taxpayers is something bad. Firing federal workers, including thousands of veterans who served this country, is something bad. Canceling medical research for children with cancer is something bad. Destroying the retirement accounts of everyday Americans is something bad. Trying to whitewash the most painful parts of our history is something bad. Targeting law-abiding immigrant families is something bad. Undermining the rule of law is something bad. The first 100 days of the Trump administration have been a debacle. Enough. Enough. America is better than this. When the new Congress began in January, Democrats were prepared to get to work in a bipartisan way. The Trump administration chose a different path. Far-right Republicans are tearing America apart, targeting our democratic way of life, and tarnishing our reputation as the land of the free. It is wrong, and we will continue to push back aggressively. Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress, 100 days of chaos, 100 days of cruelty, and 100 days of corrupt behavior. That is not constructive leadership. It's a recipe for disaster. The American people deserve common sense leadership. The American people deserve compassionate leadership. The American people deserve courageous leadership that changes things for the better. Our message to the American people is simple. We hear you, we see you, we feel you. Democrats are determined to make life better for you. Donald Trump and his sycophants spent yesterday bragging about the speed with which they've moved during these first 100 days. They're right. Never has a president failed so spectacularly, so often, so quickly as Donald Trump. The White House referred to its strategy for the first 100 days as shock and awe. Well, they're half right. It is shocking how rapidly this administration collapsed into chaos, cruelty, and corruption. It's shocking how quickly MAGA Republicans turned their backs on working-class Americans. It is shocking how spineless Republicans have been in the United States Congress. And it is shocking and tragic and infuriating how much damage Donald Trump and the Republican Party's policies have already done. Here's the thing. They expected us to step back, but the American people are here to fight back. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump promised to end inflation. He promised to lower costs on day one. When he was asking for your vote, Donald Trump told you he would make life more affordable for everyday Americans. Now that he's in office, it's a different story. In March, President Trump was asked if he was worried that car prices would go up because of his tariffs. His reply, I couldn't care less. The cost of living in the United States is too high, America is too expensive, and Donald Trump couldn't care less. He couldn't care less that housing costs are too high. He couldn't care less that grocery costs are too high. He couldn't care less that child care costs are too high. He couldn't care less that health insurance costs are too high. He couldn't care less that utility costs are too high. Donald Trump couldn't care less. Prices everywhere are too high, and Donald Trump couldn't care less. 100 days in, Donald Trump is making life harder for you and your family. And every day his costly tariffs stay in place. Life in America gets more expensive. American families will pay thousands of dollars more per year. Small businesses are shutting down. Corporations are not hiring. Businesses are unable to invest because of the uncertainty that has been created. Inflation is on the rise, life is getting more expensive, and the reckless economic policies of Donald Trump and House Republicans are driving us toward a recession. Republicans in Congress could put a stop to this insanity at any time. Since they won't, next November, we will. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Which brings me to Elon Musk. I knew he would get that reaction. We all agree that government should be more efficient. But like most things in life, there's the American way, and then there's the cruel way. 100 days in, it's clear that DOGE is not the American way. Canceling medical research for children with cancer is cruel. Denying relief for communities reeling from natural disasters is cruel. Firing thousands of our veterans, like Joseph Quintanilla of Virginia, who served this country in the Marines, is cruel. But their cruelty doesn't stop there. Republicans actually believe that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and they want to take a chainsaw to it. During the first 100 days of the Trump administration, Social Security has faced an unprecedented attack. Social Security offices have been closed, wait times have dramatically increased, and people are being denied access to benefits that they have earned. Republicans continue to insist that Social Security is an entitlement program. They think they are entitled to destroy it. When I was 15 years old, I got my working papers and secured my first job. I was a messenger dropping off packages from office building to office building in Midtown Manhattan. My salary was $3.35 per hour. That was the minimum wage back in the day. And I thought that I had made it big. Particularly upon learning that as a high school student who worked part-time, I wouldn't have to pay any income tax. So I couldn't wait to get my first check. On a piece of paper, I multiplied $3.35 by the number of hours I expected to work during my first pay period. I figured out the total, and in my mind, that money was already spent. I couldn't wait to go to Albee Square Mall in downtown Brooklyn and get some new sneakers so I could dress like Run DMC. But then the check came, and some money was missing. I had two questions, y'all. Who is FICA? And why is he taking my money? Here's what I learned. All of us pay the FICA tax in connection with Social Security and Medicare. We pay the FICA tax on our first job. We pay the FICA tax on our last job. We pay the FICA tax on every single job we have throughout our lifetime. Social Security and Medicare are not entitlement programs, they are earned benefits. Earned benefits. You work hard for those benefits, pay into those benefits, and deserve those benefits. They are earned benefits. Democrats will make sure that Donald Trump and House Republicans keep their hands off your Social Security and your Medicare. Hands off today, hands off tomorrow, hands off this week, hands off next week, hands off this month, hands off next month, hands off this year, hands off next year, hands off Social Security and Medicare forever. 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 Now, if this administration actually had some common sense, it would look at the damage that it's done, the rejection from the people, the historic unpopularity of this president, and they would change course. But Donald Trump is doubling down. And instead of being a check and balance on this president's abuse of power, Republicans in Congress are nothing more than a rubber stamp for his extreme agenda. Recently, I met a woman named Mary Beth. She lives in Canton, North Carolina, a town of 4,400 people that is still rebuilding from Hurricane Helene. She has custody of her 4 grandchildren, ages 10, 12, 15, and 16. Their parents can no longer care for them due to addiction, domestic violence, and homelessness. The moment you talk to Mary Beth, you know that caring for those grandkids is everything. And she's doing it on a fixed income, working part-time, making $8 an hour at a coin laundry. No longer. I'm no longer there. I'm sorry. And is no longer employed. To supplement the disability support that she had received. Mary Beth has had at times to skip refilling her prescriptions to make sure her grandkids don't have to skip any meals. Medicaid is the only reason her grandchildren are able to see a doctor, including the youngest, who is dealing with ADHD and autism. Mary Beth works hard, loves her family, and is a patriotic American. And Mary Beth is here with us today.
folks, you can see the rest of that speech. Again, we streamed it on the Black Star Network on our YouTube channel. I want to be joined. We're joined right now by Congressman Stephen Horsford of Nevada. Glad to have him on the show, Congressman. You may see the shirt that I'm wearing. This is one of our newest shirts we have. It says, MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. This was a quote I saw from Anthony Scaramucci, and I said, okay, that's not bad. We're gonna have to go ahead and take that one, and we put it on a shirt. And the thing here that I need people to understand what's going on is that what we have seen from Donald Trump is absolutely a tanking of the economy. As I said, it was an excellent economy that was handed to him by President Biden, Vice President Harris. Very similar, to be honest, to what happened in 2017. An excellent economy handed by President Barack Obama. And the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon con man in chief, who's filed for bankruptcy on 6 different occasions, he's managed to screw this whole thing up. I'm going to show this graphic here, and this is, whenever we use the phrase, go to my iPad, that does not, that means somebody effed around, and that's what you see right here. This was a tweet that was posted today. This is the first quarter of the year gross domestic product. Eurozone plus 4%, Italy plus 0.3%. I'm sorry, Eurozone plus 0.4%, Italy 0.3%, Germany 0.2%, Austria 0.2%, France 0.1%, Mexico 0.2%, the United States negative 0.3%. They promised us all these massive $2 trillion cuts from Doge. That fake Department of Government, I don't know what the hell it's even supposed to even be called. Now we know they've spent more money because of Doge. We've spent upwards of $200 billion more because of Doge. It was supposed to be cuts and cost savings. These idiots have destroyed an economy that was the #1 economy of the industrialized nations coming out of COVID. Congressman?
Well, look, Roland, you are absolutely right. The first 100 days of Donald Trump has been a crescendo of shit, a pile of shit that is directly affecting the American people. He only cares about one thing, and that's himself and his billionaire donors, including Elon Musk. And he has wrecked our economy. Consumer confidence is at a 50-year low. As you just noted, gross domestic spending now, we've seen now negative rate of growth in our economy. The last time that
One second. Congressman, we just lost your audio. Not sure why we just lost your audio. Let's see. Are you? Okay, there we go. There we go.
I hit a button there. Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
The last time
you were a little animated. You hit the button there. So we need to hear you. Go ahead.
The economy shrunk this badly. We were in a pandemic. The only one to blame now is Donald Trump. Not only has his actions made the economy worse, but he promised that on day one, and surely within the first 100 days, the costs would come down. They're actually going up. Unemployment is on the rise. I represent Las Vegas. International travel is down 20%. I have major employers who are starting to lay people off, small businesses who are worried that they're not going to keep their doors open, workers who are starting to get termination checks or notices, and all of this because Donald Trump is more for himself than he is the American people. I was proud to join Leader Jeffries today. While we have Donald Trump in the White House causing chaos, and his budget and these tax breaks for billionaires are cruel, and there's corruption every single day coming out of this White House, the only person providing any leadership right now is leader Hakeem Jeffries. And he laid out a clear plan forward for what House Democrats under his leadership, what he will do to ensure that we move America forward and that we actually center the people in our policy and get back to work.
To the point about tourism, look, you're there in Nevada. Look, Vegas is all about tourism. Donald Trump pissed off the Canadians. He's pissed off the Europeans. They're not flying into the country. They're not spending money in Vegas. I saw one story where one hotel chain, they laid off all the concierge people except at the Bellagio and one other hotel. And here's what's crazy. We're going to play more of this a little bit later. But this is Trump in an interview with ABC's Tara Moran. And everybody talked about President Joe Biden and cognitive abilities. This fool is truly living on another planet. Listen.
And Canadians, many of them, are really angry, furious about your talk about we're going to take over. Canada's going to become the 51st state. And it kind of is of a piece. A lot of travel is down into the United States from around the world. It feels like there's been reputational damage.
The country's doing great.
Well,
prices are down.
Not the tourism.
Gasoline's down. Energy's down. Tourism is going to be way up. Wait till you see the numbers. The tourism is way up.
Not now.
Now, Canada, tourism's doing very well. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Wait till you see the real numbers come out in 6 months from now. Wait till you see the numbers.
But do you think, I'm going to ask you, if I may, do you think
He said six months from now. What the hell is he talking about? Prices are down. That's a lie. Egg prices are not down. He straight lied over and over and over. This man is a liar, and House Republicans and Senate Republicans, that cult, they're out of this world. And again, they're so fixated on woke and DEI that the nation is being screwed.
He's full of shit, is what he is. International travel is down 15%. And specifically when it comes to Canada, for Las Vegas, that is a third of all international travel. I have heard directly from the heads of the major companies in Las Vegas, the hotels on the Strip, and the workers, the unions, who are very concerned. He doesn't know anything. Look, he's trying to do the same thing to America that he did to his companies, run it into the ground. Well, it's time that we run him into the ground and his policies into the ground. These tariffs, which are taxes that Americans pay, not some foreign government, are causing costs to go up. Cost on everything from groceries to appliances, including, cell phones and computers. In Las Vegas, another issue that we have is housing affordability. The housing crisis is a real issue. Well, what do we need to build affordable housing? Lumber, steel, aluminum, all that's going up. I met with the local small business owner who is trying to project what they should do for the second and third quarter of this year. They don't even know because it's an on-again, off-again strategy. They don't even have a strategy. And what is also horrific about this, Roland, is working people and low-income individuals, specifically Black Americans, are going to be the hardest hit because we pay these tariffs, these taxes on goods more than anybody. And, that is why I led two things. During the Ways and Means hearing, we had the trade representative, and I called him out. I said,
"Oh, I know. In fact, I got that queued up. You were a little hot. Y'all watch."
I'm hot over all this because my people.
There was no strategy, there was no plan. The president chose to take actions that he didn't even have the authority to take. He's put our economy in disarray and near collapse. We have small businesses and Americans who are concerned about their well-being, people's retirement, people's 529. accounts went down because of this administration. We have people that are planning to send their kids to college this fall. People who are retiring whose benefits have declined. Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not.
Now, Congressman Horsford, you were ripping him. This is the U.S. trade rep. He had no idea what the hell was happening with tariffs. Trump pulled back some tariffs while he was sitting there talking to you. What is happening here is beyond obscene. And what's crazy to me is Fox News, conservative talk radio, digital outlets, Republicans. If Biden had done any of this, if Biden-Harris had set up this thing Donald Trump Jr. is doing, where you can give $500,000 and get private sessions with cabinet members. If you got CEOs paying several million just to meet with him in Mar-a-Lago, the meme coin as well. This is a massive grift from this thug con man, and Republicans and conservatives and MAGA. They are quiet as a mouse pissing on cotton in church.
It is obscene. It's also corruption. It is a crime. Market manipulation is fraud. It is a felony. I know, he's already a convicted felon, but if he or members of his staff or family members, members of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all these people were given heads-up information that's called insider trading. And then the very next day after he told people to go, this was a good day to go buy. And then just a few hours later, while his trade representative was testifying before Congress, trying to defend whatever the hell they were doing with these tariffs, which are taxes, he paused it. That news broke just minutes before I questioned that trade representative. That's why I was so hot, because I started to realize this is the grift. He is trying to give his billionaire friends insider information. And you know what, Roland? The very next day, billionaires made $300 billion on their investments.
And not as billionaires.
In one single day.
Not as billionaires. Here's a tweet, here's a post regarding Marjorie Taylor Greene. She bought stock in Palantir on April 8th. April 17th, a $30 million deal between Palantir and ICE was announced. She sits on the House Committee on Homeland Security. The stock has gone up 48% in 3 weeks since her purchase. Boy, that's pretty damn timely.
It's a crime, is what it is. I have sponsored legislation to prohibit members of Congress from being able to trade stocks. The fact that she sits on the committee and has certain privileged information over the company that she invested in, but the timing of it, Roland, is what I really want to focus on.
Right.
Whether it was Marjorie Taylor Greene or billionaires or other people who are associated with Donald Trump and his thiefdom, they committed a crime. That is market manipulation. People go to jail for that. And it's time for them to be held accountable. I led a letter with 131 members, colleagues, House Democrats, calling for all of this information. Who knew what, when, where? Show me the documents. Oh, and I want the signal chats too. And they have not responded, which is also showing that he is not even following the rule of law and the separation of government and Congress's oversight of the executive branch. And so we're going to be following up on that as well. But I also want to just press on one other thing, Roland. That same day, Republicans here in Congress, Speaker Johnson, were rushing to the floor to pass their Screw America budget, which now is up for votes in committees, that will cut $2 trillion on the backs of the American people by taking away their health care, by taking away funding for housing, by attacking and strangling Social Security, by breaking our promise to veterans, by taking away food for children to do what? To give tax breaks to Elon Musk. Not permanent tax breaks for moms and dads, but a permanent tax breaks for billionaires. This is why the American people have to be out pushing every member of Congress on both sides of the aisle to vote against this crap of a bill because of how harmful it is. So at the very time that our economy is going into recession, when we've had negative growth for the first time since the pandemic, when consumer confidence is at a 50-year low, unemployment rates are going up, cost on everything that the American people, working people buy is going up. This man wants to give tax breaks to billionaires? Give me a fucking break.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Congressman Stephen Horsford, keep the pressure on, and we're going to keep doing it ourselves.
Appreciate you having me on, Roland.
Thank you very much. I want to quickly go to my panel right now, folks, and listen. Y'all heard it from the congressman. Not happy at all with what we are seeing, and I'm telling you right now, the grift is real. These thugs are raping and pillaging the country. It's happening before our very eyes. Joining me right now is Randy Bryant, entrepreneur, author of Never Says 25 Phrases You Should Never Ever Say to Keep Your Job and Friends out of D.C. Eugene Craig, CEO, X Factor Media out of Baltimore. Joy Cheney, founder of Joy Strategies out of D.C. In a moment, we're going to be chatting with Janae Nelson with the Legal Defense Fund, because we're also dealing with a massive constitutional crisis and a person sitting in the Oval Office who is straight ignoring the United States Supreme Court. So quick comments from all three. Eugene, I want to start with you. It's a grift. They're thugs, and he's a liar. The economy is getting worse. It's not getting better. They want to do massive cuts for billionaires. It's absolutely stock market manipulation, and Republicans aren't saying a damn thing. They're perfectly fine with the raping and the pillaging of America.
And look, on top of that, they have a new exclusive club called the executive branch, in which for $500,000 you can get unfettered access to, guess what, the executive branch. But, they're doing all these things. Meanwhile, you're looking at empty shelves potentially in the next couple of weeks. We have at least 1 quarter of negative GDP. And guess what? 2 quarters of negative GDP learned in the economics class equal to a technical recession. Although almost every single firm, major fund manager is already saying that we're already here in a recession. I agree with Congressman Horford. It's they're full of shit. And out their minds, and here we are. So, folks got to prepare and keep up the fight.
Randy, these idiots been so focused on woke and DEI and CRT, and these MAGA dumbasses don't even realize that they're getting totally screwed. And all these red states, we're seeing layoffs from auto companies and manufacturers and others. And it's like, there you go. MAGA, as the shirt says right here, MAGA chose between woke or broke, and guess what? They getting broke.
Right. It's like I've been saying that whiteness is a hell of a drug. These people have felt, the MAGA has felt that they are not affected by these cuts. They absolutely think that, and didn't realize that the DEI was something that they greatly benefited from, right? Even more than Black people. And so as these cuts are happening and they're celebrating, trust me, they are FAFO. They are messing around, and they are going to find out. They're finding out now very slowly. But when they were comfortable fighting against wokeness and fighting against DEI, it was because they were in the illusion that they're part of this superior class, that they're not going to be affected by all that Trump is doing. They too, participate in these programs. They too have to buy eggs. They too have 529 plans. They too are being let go from government jobs. They too are being affected, but they didn't realize that at first. So they'll see. They'll see.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here looking at these idiots, Joy, and it's like, y'all think this is cool, but this is what he's doing. He's turned immigration into a television show. We're deporting, and these fools are like, yeah, go, not even realizing they're getting screwed while they're cheering.
Absolutely. To quote Lyndon Baines Johnson, I'll tell you what's at the bottom of it. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. white America and any fool not in white America who voted for Donald Trump emptied their pockets for him and his oligarch friends. And we're all suffering for it, but they will suffer most from it. His policies most impact the working class people. And while disproportionately, those people are people of color. Numerically, those are white people. Those are people in rural America. They are suffering. They are on Medicaid. They are on Medicare. This is going to be felt by them.
Yeah, and look, it's already being felt by everybody. And what we also are seeing, we literally are seeing these thugs totally ignore the rule of law. I mean, just as if it doesn't even exist. And so here's another clip from that interview between Trump and ABC's Terry Moran when they talked about the case of the man who's in El Salvador, Garcia. And here is the occupant of the Oval Office literally saying, I don't give a damn about the Supreme Court. I'm going to openly defy them. Listen.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshopped? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir.
Terry,
I want to get to Ukraine.
No. He had MS as clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's fake news.
When he was photographed in El Salvador, they aren't there. But let's just go on. They aren't there when he's in El Salvador.
They weren't
Take a look
there,
at the
but
photograph.
they're there now, right?
No,
but
they're in your picture.
Terry.
Ukraine, sir.
He's got MS-13 on his knuckles.
All right.
Okay?
Well, we'll take a look at that.
You do such a disservice.
We'll take a look at that,
Why don't you just say, yes, he does, and, go on to something else?
It's contested.
So, Terry, why don't you just lie that it's not Photoshop and believe me, the liar? But if you want to, again, hear an idiot, listen to this.
Fairly by all judges.
Oh, that's a subject. So you're saying that you don't like some of the rulings, some of the court orders?
I think the rulings will be overturned, yeah.
All right. Well, let me ask you about one man and one court order. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the Salvadoran man who crossed into this country illegally, but who is under a protective order that he not be sent back to El Salvador. Your government sent him back to El Salvador and acknowledged in court that was a mistake. And now the Supreme Court has upheld an order that you must return him facilitate his return to the United States. What are you doing to comply?
Well, the lawyer that said it was a mistake was here a long time, was not appointed by us, should not have said that, And just so you understand, the person that you're talking about, you're making this person sound, this is a MS-13 gang member, a tough cookie, been in lots of skirmishes, beat the hell out of his wife, and the wife was petrified to even talk about him, okay? This is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland.
I'm not saying he's a good guy. It's about the rule of law. The order from the Supreme Court stands, sir.
He came into our country illegally.
You could get him back. There's a phone on this desk.
I could.
You could pick it up, and with all the power of the presidency, you could call up the president of El Salvador and say, send him back right now.
And if he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that.
But the court has ordered you to facilitate that.
I'm not the one making this decision. We have lawyers that don't want to do this.
But the buck stops in this office.
No. I follow the law. You want me to follow the law? If I were the president that just wanted to do anything, I'd probably keep him right where he is.
Supreme Court says what the law is.
So 14.
We're not being treated fairly.
Hey, joining us right now, Janae Nelson. She is the leader of Legal Defense Fund. Janae, there are no words. Y'all are nonpartisan. I don't have to be. This twice impeached, criminally convicted felon con man in chief is sitting in the Oval Office, and when questioned that the Supreme Court has ordered you to facilitate the return, yeah, I can call him, but I don't want to. Oh, I'm following the law, but my lawyer disagreed, and I'm listening to them. So the hell with the law now.
Roland, that's not partisan. Those are facts, right? And those are facts, which is something that this president routinely ignores, routinely mixes up and intentionally tries to use to mislead people by saying that he has no power when he doesn't want to exercise the power that he does have, and that he is all-powerful, omnipotent, when he wants to exceed his executive authority. And so we have to recognize as a country the moment that we're in. This is a crisis. When a sitting president says that he will not follow the orders of the Supreme Court, we are in the most perilous territory because the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the law. The laws that Congress pass are interpreted by the Supreme Court. The executive orders and actions of the president are interpreted for their lawfulness by the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court has said that you must facilitate the return of a person who was wrongfully sent to another country at your specific direction in violation of the order of a lower court judge, and you say, I can't do it, either you're confessing your own impotence or you are directly contravening a Supreme Court order. And in this case, he's doing both. I think that we have to call it out for what it is, and that is an outright defiance of a Supreme Court order. And his cabinet and those who are following in his footsteps need to recognize that he may feel he's Teflon, he may feel that he's immunized, but they aren't, not by any stretch of the imagination. And it will be incumbent on our courts to bring the full force of the law down on any and everyone who is defying the Supreme Court order.
And when you listen to them, they sit here and they parse words and language, and they go on and on and on, and it's just insane. And not only that, we also have to deal with this executive order that came out yesterday. And Janae, this strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. What jumps out at me is Section 2. The Attorney General shall take all appropriate action to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and indemnification to law enforcement officers who unjustly incur expenses and liabilities for actions taken during the performance of their official duties to enforce the law. This mechanism shall include the use of private sector pro bono assistance for such law enforcement officers. The LDF has spoken out loudly, along with other folks, on these law firms that cut those deals with Donald Trump to provide pro bono assistance for whatever he desires. Basically, what he is saying is that the top law firms in the country, I'm going to make them defend these cops if they shoot, maim, kill folks. What this executive order says is cops in America, you can do whatever you want, when you want it, and I will cover your back, and the hell with the victims. This is absolutely an attack on Black America and other Americans.
That's right. I would venture to say that this is one of, if not the most dangerous executive order that has been issued. It paves the way for mass violence by law enforcement with impunity, with zero accountability. And again, it defies law. There are already laws, there's already a legal doctrine to protect actors if they are operating in their official capacity and if they are not violating a constitutional right. There's something called qualified immunity. And the Legal Defense Fund has actively work to ensure that that doctrine does not block the ability for us to hold bad actors liable. And that qualified immunity, frankly, is overbroad already under current law. And what he's done with this executive order is attempt to legislate, again, from the desk of the Oval Office, which he has zero right to do. It exceeds his authority as president, but he's attempting to invite law enforcement to engage in unlawful conduct because they will think that they have a protective shield, that they will have lawyers at their disposal to help them avoid any financial or other consequences for their actions. And this is a wake-up call for the law firms that thought that doing a deal with the devil was going to be something that they could continue to maintain on the one hand and maintain a legal practice that is respectable and reputable on the other. The two do not coexist. They simply cannot. If you have said that you are willing to defend actions from a president who is engaging in a unlawful exercise of his authority, then you have compromised yourself, the lawyers at your firm, your entire reputation, and your legal practice. So we are, again, in a situation that I certainly have not seen before in terms of the co-option of private law firms and the private bar. And this is a time for members of the legal profession to stand up and make it plain that they cannot be utilized in this way as a tool of the government to weaponize law enforcement against the American people.
Last point real quick here, Janae. I remember it was a case out of Georgia, and it was a black man who was put to death. And we had a lawyer on, and they were fighting for the execution to be delayed. And I remember Tom Joyner saying to the lawyer, well, you know, did the guy do it? I mean, he's a bad guy. And I remember the attorney saying, Tom, that doesn't matter. The law is the law. When you actually look at most of these legal decisions, when you talk about Miranda rights and others, the issue is not whether the person did it or not. The issue is whether or not that sign over the Supreme Court says it is right, equal justice under law. I don't know about this Garcia guy. I don't know if he's MS-13. I don't know if he beat his wife. But that doesn't matter because the law applies to whether somebody is innocent or guilty. I don't care how heinous or not, because the problem is if you say, hey, that Garcia dude, bad actor, I'm not gonna stand up for him, then this is going to impact somebody who is innocent. And as black people, it's a whole bunch of brothers and sisters who are still sitting in prison for crimes they did not commit because somebody ignored and defied the law.
That's absolutely right. We live by the tenet in our legal system that you are innocent until proven guilty, but also even people who may be guilty or there may be evidence of guilt are entitled to due process.
Meaning if they are convicted, there's an appeals process, even if convicted.
Listen, even if convicted, you still have civil and human rights. Even someone who has confessed to the most heinous crimes imaginable cannot have their civil and human rights violated, should not be subjected to cruel and unusual punishment, which would be in violation of the 8th Amendment of our Constitution. We are a society of law and rules, and we must adhere to them even in the most egregious circumstances. And I'm not at all suggesting that that is Mr. Abrego Garcia's case. And I want it to be clear that he deserves the full protection of the law, and that what is happening to him right now is an extraordinary violation of human rights. And as you point out, it will just be a cobblestone in the path to the erosion of rights of other people, especially Black people, who significantly bear the worst brunt of the abuses of law enforcement. So make no mistake, it will not end with Mr. Garcia Abrego. It will only be the beginning of a horrific nightmare for more Americans than we can imagine if we do not rise up and demand that the Supreme Court and every other court involved hold this administration accountable for its flagrant disregard of a court order.
Janae Nelson, Executive Director, LDF, we certainly appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
Go back to my panel here. I was just talking about the issue of, again, when you talk about rights, and I mentioned Miranda rights. Y'all, this is real basic. This is from history.com. Look at this. The Supreme Court ruled 1966, 5-4, Miranda versus Arizona. The principle that all criminal suspects must be advised of their rights before interrogation. And so this is what it says right here. It says, give me 1 second, I'm going to pull this up. It says that, 1 second. It said the roots of the Miranda decision go back to March 2nd, 1963, when an 18-year-old Phoenix woman told police that she had been abducted, driven to the desert, and raped. Detectives questioning her story gave her a polygraph test, but the results were inconclusive. However, tracking the license plate number of a car that resembled that of her attackers brought police to Ernesto Miranda, who had a prior record as a peeping Tom. Although the victim did not identify Miranda in a lineup, he was brought into police custody and interrogated. What happened next is disputed, but officers left the interrogation with a confession that Miranda later recanted, unaware that he didn't have to say anything at all. So the Supreme Court overturned his conviction. Miranda was retried and convicted in October of 1966. He remained in prison until 1972. He was later stabbed to death in the men's room of a bar after a poker game in January 1976. Now, why is that important, Joy? It's very simple. Miranda, after the Supreme Court overturned it, he was convicted. He was convicted. That means that he served prison for it. Ernesto Miranda was not a great guy. But because of what happened to Ernesto Miranda, the Supreme Court determined Miranda rights. That means that anybody who is arrested by police, whether innocent or guilty, has the right to say, I am not talking until you inform me of my rights, and I'm not talking until my attorney gets here. So it doesn't matter if a person is a bad person or not. There are no perfect people. There are no perfect cases. We don't decide case law based upon, well, that person is really a really nice person. So no, most of our laws have involved folk who are not great people. But thank God that somebody sued to establish the rule of law.
Correct. Donald Trump isn't a great person. He is a convicted felon. He is someone who has been credibly accused and has a judgment against him for what is tantamount to a sexual assault, a rape. He is not a good person in my estimation, and yet he has been given due process. He has been allowed to have his case worked through the judicial system. Free speech rights are preserved most often for unpopular speech. Popular speech doesn't need protection. We extend these rights irrespective of whether we think independently that the person is a bad person or not. If he is a bad person, as Donald Trump, and first of all, I don't even know what that means. If he has committed a crime, then they can engage in a process that would have him removed from this country. That's all we're asking for. We're asking you to follow the law. But Roland, I want to say one more thing.
Real quick.
Let us be clear. Whether or not this person is a member of a gang or not, he got a protective order. For all we know, he got a protective order because he was escaping a gang and they're protecting him from going back. There are many reasons. And so what if someone was a member of a gang? If they're here under a protective order, that's for a particular reason.
The bottom line, Eugene, is simple. The Supreme Court is supposed to be the highest court in the land. The Supreme Court has ruled, and these thugs in the White House have said, F the Supreme Court. That's what is going on here. And I'm telling you right now, if they're saying, remember, Donald Trump told the president of El Salvador, build 5 new prisons because I'm going to send homegrown criminals. All you black people out there who sat here and sucked up for Trump and talked about, oh man, we gonna get some checks. I'm telling you, some of y'all got a cousin, y'all got an uncle, y'all got a nephew, a son, or a daughter who these people are going to say, oh, you're a hardened criminal. They're going to ship them to El Salvador. And then what are those folks going to say? Oh, I didn't realize. Because, see, it was a whole bunch of black people, a whole bunch of these FBA people. Oh, yeah, he ain't talking about us. I remember they were saying, they can't deport us. Well, guess what? Trump is saying, we're going to send your asses out the country, even if you are an American.
Look, the thing is this. He's doing it already with 2, 4, and 8-year-olds. So if he's doing it with 2, 4, and 8-year-olds who have committed no crime, and at least 2 of them have cancer and were receiving active treatment, what do you think he'll do with somebody he considers to be a hardened criminal, right? And the thing is this. The courts are already saying that, hey, people can be called back and brought back to the country, but you have the president of El Salvador, as we see in today, saying, hey, even if you request us to give you your American back, we're not going to do it. So, you know, we're already in a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, and he's saying that. He's saying that because he knows the thug Trump ain't gonna call him. You trying to tell me that if Donald Trump says I have to abide by the Supreme Court, we're sending a plane, send him back, the president of El Salvador is not gonna say, nah, screw you.
You know, I mean, that's the readout he gave to Marco Rubio, but he's not saying that to Donald Trump.
No.
And at the end of the day, right, if the president of El Salvador essentially at this point wants to keep American hostage, Congress absolutely should dead every single red cent that's going to El Salvador.
Boom. Right there. See, and that's the whole deal, Randy. Donald Trump cut funds off to South Africa because they dare criticize something, and they've cut in other countries. But this man says, I'm not going to listen to any phone call from the United States. You're right, cut his ass off. But we know they are never going to do that. Randy?
This is why El Salvador is going to comply, because Trump is a bully, and those who will be bullied by him or taking advantage of him, they're going to make money. But I really just need for people to understand how dangerous what's going on is. I mean, let's call it what it looks like to me. It very much reminds me of concentration camps, where there is one person who is deciding who is worthy of to be an American and have their rights. Is deciding that is extraordinarily frightening. And that is what he's saying he's going to do, that there's going to be no due process, that whoever they deem to be unworthy are criminal, just because of their own estimation, just because of a tattoo, that they can be sent away. Everyone should be quite frightened. I mean, completely frightened. There is a reason why we have 3 arms of government. And so because we always needed a balance of power. So there is not one person who has decided that he is the judge and the jury. And that is what's happening right now. He pays no mind to the Supreme Court. He doesn't feel as if anyone should interrupt his decision making. And when they do, he's going to punish them. And so it's a quite dangerous period, and everyone should be concerned.
Folks, I keep telling y'all what is happening when it comes to this thug and how he views the economy, how he's wrecking the economy. We're going to get a clip we're going to play in a second. I think it was from that Terry Moran interview where he was like, oh, yeah, you know, folks they'll deal with it, the bad economy. But Andrew Feinberg of The Independent asked a great question today of this idiot in the cabinet meeting. Listen to this question and listen to this fool's answer.
During the transition, sir, you frequently took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. When you look at prisoners being allowed to come into our country at will, just at will, people from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, when you look at that, what they've done to our country, and also having to do with finance. Look at what happened with inflation. We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but I would say in the history of our country, it ate away at people. And even though you saw a stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we had.
Does anybody know what the hell he was just saying? That sounded like a bumbling idiot. I love how these people complained about Vice President Kamala Harris and word salad. That was a word salad. I mean, he's sitting here, oh, in my last term, it was up 88%. Oh, it was amazing. Oh, but I don't really view it as anything. I sort of view it as just, like one thing. So it's not really like anything else. It's just sort of one thing. And I really can't look at it any other way. But what you just said, it was something, again. And he's not the only idiot. Let's take Peter Navarro, the same person who talked about this really important mentor of his in his book that never existed. The person was made up. So this is the person who Trump is listening to for the economy. You want to hear stupid? This is who Donald Trump thinks is brilliant.
I got to say just one thing about today's news. That's the best negative print I have ever seen in my life. And the markets need to look beneath the surface of that. We had a 22% increase in domestic investment. That is off the charts when you strip out inventories and the negative effects of the surge in imports because of the tariffs. You had 3% growth. So we really like where we're at now. With respect to China, look, Jim.
We had 3% growth? Did I hear that right? Let me play this. Go to my iPad.
And the markets need to look beneath the surface of that. We had a 22% increase in domestic investment. That is off the charts when you strip out inventories and the negative effects of the surge in imports because of the tariffs. You had 3% growth.
So Eugene, what he's saying is, if you take out the bad shit we did, it was great.
Listen.
That's like I play golf. Hey, if you take out the 3 bad drives that went OB, and then if you take out the 2 shots when I went in the sand, and then if you take out the 2 3-putts, I shot a 68.
Listen, you got
not the 89, but I shot a 68.
You got to keep in mind, Roland, the person that was speaking the words is a convicted felon that went from literally federal penitentiary to the RNC, and who for literally decades have been, quoting himself as Ron Vera, better known as Peter Navarro, right? He's a pseudo-economist that, just like everybody else in this Trump economic team, they don't have any understanding of economics. They're saying literally ignore the bad shit, and the good shit looks really, really, really good. But at the end of the day, right, you have LA ports, which is a primary port from China to the United States, down 35% on their volume, right? You have the other ports down on their volume. You have empty shelves. The biggest retailers in our country, Target, Walmart, Home Depot, and others sat down with the president and said, listen, y'all keep this shit up, and it'll be shit so far to sell on the shelves. You know, and so the thing is this. When we went through the COVID recession and we went through other recessions, those are recessions, but they weren't recessions like, hey, the shelves are empty recessions. Like, hey, you might not be able to go in there and get toilet paper. You might not be able to go in there and get your T-shirts, socks. You might not be able to go in there and get XYZ product that probably is produced overseas and sold over here. You know, they're harping about these trade deficits. All trade deficits are a result of a prosperous country. It's a result that, hey, we're doing so well that we're buying more from other people that we're not producing here. But at the end of the day, Peter Navarro's a liar, Donald Trump's a liar, and you know we have 1 quarter of the books of negative growth, of negative GDP. We're midway through a second quarter, and look, everybody already knows it's going to be worse than the last quarter. So we're already in a recession, and at the end of the day, this is the Trump recession, the Trump-Vance recession.
I mean, I am absolutely laughing, Joy. Yeah, just our little pesky stuff, you know, the tariffs, just take that out. Let's see here. The other things that we're doing, just take all that out. And man, it was gangbusters. That was the best. This is what Peter Navarro said. That was the best bad meal I've ever tasted.
These people are.
But you just said it was a bad meal. I know it was a bad meal, but it was the best bad meal. So I've had some bad meals, but out of all the bad meals that I've had, that was really the best bad meal I've ever had. And so maybe when I come next time, then maybe it's gonna be great.
I mean, Donald Trump should just skip to the part where he says that he was trying to trust Peter Navarro and it was all Peter's fault. I mean, you know, we know this is coming, right? I mean, these people are bad people, so much so if we're connecting with the previous segment, maybe we should shift into El Salvador. Look, we know that our 401ks have been hit. The difference between this and previous recessions, one, this was a self-made recession. I mean, we handed him a good economy. Donald Trump single-handedly tanked our economy, which will have international implications, and he did it on his own. I mean, like, it's really unbelievable. But the other difference is many people are losing their jobs. So in the public sector, in the nonprofit sector, and in some cases in the private sector, that's coming. So in the past, people lost their jobs sometimes, and you know, we had a bad economy, but it's all happening at once. There's a universal nature to Donald Trump's mayhem that is different than in the past. It's not just a certain number of sectors. It's not just something that hits homeowners. This is everyone. Everyone has been impacted, and there's no recourse. He is trying to decimate literally every industry.
Yeah.
He's attacking them. So this is the problem. This is a self-made disaster in the name of Donald Trump.
I just, again, if you, Randy, Randy, I'm just like, these people, they're on meth.
It does seem like that. And, you know, they come out with these sound bites, but most people don't know they don't understand our economy. We are a consumer economy. China is an industrial economy. So it makes people in Trump's base camp sound as if they're strong and America's strong by saying, you know, we just need to buy America, invest in America. We don't make nothing. We make soybeans and wheat. Those are our exports, right? We get most of what we get from China. So when they shut down our relationships or they put these big tariffs where they're going to be paying tons of money, we're short. We don't have the products, one. And then when we do get the products, they're going to be extraordinarily expensive. But it sounds good to say we just need to buy America. We don't even have it set up to buy American. It's not set up, and it would take years to do it. So we're in trouble. We are a market that consumes.
Yeah.
So that's the way our economy goes.
70% of American economy is consumption. 70%. But it's just what's hilarious to me, and I'm gonna quickly go to Eugene before I go to my next topic, is just how they're just like, ignore everything that you see, ignore everything that you hear, because this David Copperfield world that we have created is really a magical, mystical, amazing place, and things are wonderful. So what you're seeing is an illusion. Eugene, you're on mute, dude. You gotta keep.
Oh, my bad. And the tape thing.
Well, y'all stop, hit the damn button, leave the shit on. We got you. Go.
All right, okay, I have PTSD, all right? But the thing is this, to take it to a whole nother level, right? While they're going through this whole budget reconciliation bill right now, the Senate is debating if they can now define deficits as not being deficits anymore. So whatever, deficit that, the next wave of Trump tax cuts are going to bring, they're now deeming them not deficits and hoping the Senate parliamentarian rules with them so they can continue with the abracadabra, it's all happy flowers.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, these people are just crazy, and I'm telling you, and they're lying, and I just sit here and I just laugh at these Fox News idiots and how they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna go along with it because it shows you they are liars. They are absolutely positively liars. Whatever he does is about kissing their ass, and so nothing else matters. And I'm telling you, if half of the things that this fool has done, that Biden and Harris did, these people will be going ape shit every single day. I mean, every single day. We showed a couple of clips from that Terry Moran interview, and it really was a shit show, y'all. It was just stupid. Here's a clip here. They were talking about Putin. And again, this dude really needs to be seen by a psychiatrist.
That he's willing to stop the fighting. Don't forget,
you think he wants peace?
You
think Vladimir Putin wants peace?
I think he does, yes. I think he does. I think because
even with the raining missiles
I think he really, his dream was to take over the whole country. I think because of me, he's not going to do that.
Do you trust him? Do you trust him?
I don't trust you. I don't trust a lot of people. I don't trust you. Look at you. You come in all shooting for bear. You're so happy to do the interview.
I am
and
happy.
Then you start hitting me with fake questions. You start telling me that a guy whose hand is covered with a tattoo doesn't have the tattoo. All right. I mean, you're being dishonest.
No, I'm not.
Let me just
I am not.
Do I trust? I don't trust a lot of people, but I do think this. I think that let's say he respects me. And I believe because of me, he's not going to take over the whole. But his decision, his choice would be to take over all of Ukraine. Okay. It's a
Here's a little bit more stupidity from the interview.
Biden took over, it went through the roof. This problem was caused by Biden. What Biden did to this country. Biden didn't have that over a year. I mean, if you look at Biden, nobody was really investing in this country. A unforced error that was made by a very incompetent man, a man that turned out to be incompetent. When Biden allowed a man who was grossly incompetent, we have a country that's very sick. Joe Biden, and it's not him because I don't even think he knew what the hell was happening. And this is Biden's war. This is not my war. But it's been badly handled by the Biden administration. When Biden got involved, I won't say whether or not he handled it properly, but obviously it wasn't good. He would have never gone in with this group of losers. I don't think that Biden knew anything about it.
Fair enough. But you are the president now.
And hey, Biden did something to me. And I did something to Biden. In the world, we had a president that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, couldn't walk down a flight of stairs, couldn't walk across a stage without falling. We had a president that was grossly incompetent. We had a leader that was grossly incompetent. He should have never been there. The election was rigged. He should have never been there. And Biden did that with many of our people.
That was from Decoding Fox News, and she does a great job. Her name is Julie Jeske, and I like you sit there and this. Biden, then all of a sudden, I don't trust this, not telling the truth. This is a liar. This is the biggest liar in America. And then to sit here and say, I don't trust you. Again, he lies, he lies, he lies, he lies, he lies. He sits there and he was trying to get Terry Moran to accept the lie. Oh, I did you a favor that you here. I mean, I'm talking to you. I didn't even know who you are. Well, guess what? We know who Terry Moran is, and we know that his questioning was right. And see, this is also a thing that I'm just a firm believer on. This is why when you question a liar, like for instance, when Andrew Feinberg threw his question out, then Trump went on talking about criminals. He said, no, I need you to answer the question. Answer the question. And that's what they don't want to do. They want to force him to answer the question. The person who is sitting in the Oval Office is a massive liar. The moment Trump opens his mouth, Randy, I automatically think and assume he's lying. I don't give him the benefit of the doubt. If he says, good morning, I double check the time because it might be the evening. He is that much of a liar.
That's smart to do. Because he lies, but he also always attacks. The only way that he feels that he can get people from shining a light on his incompetence is that he's always putting people down. We saw just in that interview, and let me just say, Terry Moran, I got to give him credit because he did not back down. He was very strong during that interview, and I was impressed. I watched the entire thing. He started attacking Terry. Then he starts attacking Biden. Anyone, you can't get him to answer a question about what his administration is doing or what he's doing because all he wants to do is focus and attack other people because his whole platform is hate and not taking accountability for anything. But he absolutely is a liar when something comes out of his mouth. But he's a good marketer. He knows his base and he knows he can say one word. He could say Biden fell down some stairs and they will remember that and forget everything about the economy, forget everything about how he is not paying attention to the Supreme Court and ignoring it. They will forget everything and just stick on that and say, and that's all that they will remember. He just is a soundbite president, and the soundbite is absolutely typically a lie, just as you said.
Yeah, just straight up lies. And that's what he does. His entire agenda is based upon lying and gaslighting, Joy, pure and simple.
That's correct. But so the question is, what are we going to do about it? Because Donald Trump has been a liar. We have heard already how he has had multiple failed companies, multiple bankruptcies. So none of what's happening right now should come as a terrible surprise to us. This is how many business people operate, especially when they don't care about the people underneath. But he's dealing with the country now. And so the question is, what are Democrats going to do about it? I love what I've been seeing with Jeffries and Booker. We need to see more of it. The speech today was good, but it's not quite, enough. And we have to be making sure that we are getting ourselves together so that the next time we have the ability to give him pause, getting in a House and Senate that will reflect our values, not Donald Trump's, who will actually stand up for their own branch of government, which is the first branch, arguably the most powerful branch, not the executive branch. When we're ready to do that we're able to do that at the midterms. And are we figuring out how we're going to sustain ourselves in these years? That's what we need to be focused on.
I just think, Eugene, you got to call it every time. Lie, 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 lie. Not distortion of facts. No, lie. He's lying. He's lying. He's lying. He's lying. What he's lying again, lying again, lying again.
Yep. And look, Ronald, we're a decade in with this guy either being a presidential candidate or president and just actively lying. He opened up the campaign in 2015, coming on an escalator with active lies. And so here we are 10 years later in 2025, he is still lying. So to me and you, I mean, if we go back to News One now in the mornings, it's no shock or surprise to us that he is still actively lying, and the lying's just getting more worse, or him trying to pull other people in, like this reporter, and saying, hey, you should be lucky you're here, happy you're here, you should be going along with my lie. That's your purpose of me having you here.
So speaking of lies, check this out. House Speaker Mike Johnson actually said that they were targeting Democrats. Because Democrats were running ads and billboards saying that Republicans wanted to cut $800 billion from $880 billion from Medicaid. So listen to this idiot.
Do not believe the hype. Do not believe the lies the Democrat Party has said. We had their ads taken down. Okay, they were running ads around the country and in swing districts, trying to convince people that Republicans were going to gut Medicaid. It's just simply not true, and that's why their ads and billboards had to come down. We sent them a cease and desist letter because we pointed out they were lying. By the way, the Democrat leaders in Washington have zero credibility with the American people. Remember, they tried to tell us for the last 4 years that Joe Biden was an exceptionally talented, brilliant, on-point leader. Okay, they don't have any credibility on any of this. We're going to prove the opposite. The committee markups, as Leader Scalise noted, we have 7 committees marking up components of the big, beautiful bill this week. We have 4 others next week. That third week that we return, the Budget Committee will merge all that together into the one big, beautiful bill, and you will see the results. We are going to preserve the programs. We're not gutting Medicaid. We're going to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse, which every single American should be applauding.
So I want y'all to see right there the bullshit phrase. We're going to reduce fraud, waste, and abuse. This is political. Hurdles remain for Republicans' Medicaid quest. A meeting with moderates would precede a meeting with hardliners. Watch this here. It's right here, y'all. The Energy and Commerce Committee has been tasked with finding $880 billion in cuts, meaning they will likely have to lean heavily on Medicaid to achieve those savings. That's called gutting, where I come from, Randy.
That's absolute gutting. It goes back to what I just said, is that they're marketers. So they will, instead of saying, yes, we're cutting your Medicaid, they will say, look how fantastic we are. We found cases and items of fraud and misuse, and we're actually saving you money. That is what they're going to say, and that's what they have been doing. And it's a lie. It is a lie, nicely foiled in bullshit and marketing.
I don't get it. And so, they were lying. We're taking it down. Fraud, waste, abuse. Fraud, waste, abuse. Fraud, waste, abuse. That's what that's what MAGA idiots are falling for, Joy. And I'm like, y'all getting played, and all you broke ass folks in the red states, y'all need Medicaid.
You most certainly need Medicaid. Rural hospitals need Medicaid. Many Americans are on Medicaid. One of the reasons we expanded it so more working class Americans could get on Medicaid. The vast majority of people on Medicaid are working, or they have some reason why they cannot work. The lies about Medicaid being a program wrought with abuse are just that. They are incorrect. The numbers don't bear them out. This is a popular program. This is a program that supports health care for all in rural communities that without Medicaid dollars, they would not be able to stay afloat. So if you're in rural America, you need to be supporting Medicaid. And we know this because the Republicans have come out fiercely to try to counter any narrative about it. But the proof is in the pudding. They're about to do a markup next week in Energy and Commerce. We're going to find out. The American people have already been saying this is an issue we care about. Right. The American people have already been concerned. We're going to find out at the markup. Will they have the cuts or won't they? That's it.
Eugene? Eugene, stop hitting the mute button.
Okay.
Damn. Keep your hands off the mute button.
It's out of habit. But the thing is this, right? We don't have to wait for the markup next week because, look, all members are already saying it. Representative Bacon already said he's giving himself a $500 billion cap. You have members of Pennsylvania that are saying, hey, we won't vote for a bill that guts Medicaid. You have Mike Lawler and other New York members saying they won't vote for a bill that guts Medicaid. Well, the literal co-signed to that sign is that they would not be saying these things if it wasn't the Republicans' plan to get Medicare and Medicaid.
I just sit here and just go, again, he's lying. He's flat out lying. All right, you could always count on Republicans really saying some stupid stuff. We're going to go to Indiana on this one, y'all. The Lieutenant Governor of Indiana, Micah Beckwith, is getting a lot of backlash because he fashioned himself as a constitutional scholar, and he decided to weigh in on a 3/5 compromise.
Hey everybody, this is Lieutenant Governor Micah Beckwith. Want to give you an update on a bill, Senate Bill 289, which is called Unlawful Discrimination Bill. Senator Byrne is carrying that bill. It was in the Senate just a few minutes ago. Well, if you were watching or listening to the Senate, if you were trying to fall asleep and we're trying to get some good background noise on, you might have been listening. The Senate on the Democrat side, they got up and they started talking about how this bill embodies something to the effect of the 3/5 compromise. They were bringing that up. They were saying this is a bad bill because it actually encourages discrimination, just like the 3/5 compromise, going all the way back to the foundations of our nation. I would like to share with you the 3/5 compromise is not a pro-discrimination compromise. It was not a pro-discrimination or a slave-driving compromise that the founders made. It was actually just the opposite. It was a compromise that the North made with the South. At the time, there were basically 13 independent nations. They had not really created a constitution. They were sort of a European Union-esque nation, and they were saying to the pro-slave states, hey, if you want to count your slaves to have representation, more representation in Congress, we're not going to let you do that, because they knew that that would codify things like slavery into our nation. And the North stood up to the South, and they said, we're going to, if you're going to count your property, because the South says, hey, this is our property, but we want to count them in the congressional representation. We want to count them in the census. At the time, there was 30,000 people would equal one member of Congress. And so they said, we're going to count our slaves. We're going to get more members of Congress in the South. The North said, you can't do that. So what they came back to the South and they said, fine, if you want to count your property, your slaves, as whole people, we're going to count our property. We're going to count our tables. We're going to count our chairs. We're going to count all the stuff that we have in our house. And the South said, well, you can't do that. And they said, well, you're doing it with your property. We're doing it with our property. So what they did is they came up with a 3/5 compromise. They said, you will only get 3/5 of a vote when it comes to your slave. And what that did, it actually limited the number of pro-slave representatives in Congress by 40%. This was a great move by the North to make sure that slavery would be eradicated in our nation. They knew what they were doing. But now here you have Senate Democrats in today's American Republic who do not understand that. They think the 3/5 compromise was something that was a scourge on black people. That's not what it was. And how did we get to this place? We got to this place because of DEI in education. We got to this place because you have professors at woke schools that will not teach the history of what actually happened back in the foundations of our nation. Many, many men and leaders in our nation's history knew how wicked slavery was. They knew that God had created even black people, white people, red people, all people in his image, and they were fighting for equality for all. But they're not taught that today. And that's why you had the Senate Democrats who were getting up talking about the 3/5 compromise like it was some sort of terrible thing in our past. It was not. It actually was the exact opposite that helped to root out slavery and lead us into a more perfect union that we now see, where black, white, red, brown, all people can have equal representation under the law. That's what the 3/5 compromise was all about. So don't buy into the DEI radical revisionist history that is happening in today's culture. Know your history. Go back and study the documents. Read them for yourself like I have. Go look them up, and you will find that the 3/5 compromise and many other things like that were designed to make sure that justice was equal for all people, and equality really meant equality for all. So that's what's going on in the Senate today. Glad to keep you updated. Thanks for everyone tuning in and for all you're doing to keep our nation and our state the greatest it can possibly be.
It's because of DEI. Henry, go to my iPad. Y'all, the 3/5 compromise was in 1787. Slavery was abolished with the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865. So this fool wants us to believe that the 3/5 compromise put us on the pathway to end slavery. Slavery ended 78 years later. I done told y'all I'ma create a new segment called This Motherfucker. This is why the segment is gonna be created. What you just heard was some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. And this white man wants to blame DEI. Every history teacher that man has had should go to the state capitol, Eugene, and smack the shit out of him.
I mean, look, this is the thing, right? He's an elected lieutenant governor talking this bullshit. But the thing is this: if you have an elected lieutenant governor talking this, you know it's permeating among all other circles on the right. And the sad part is that they actually do believe this. This is, they're going to wrap it up in, the DEI cloth. But at the end of the day, this is a hardcore belief of theirs that, oh yeah, the 3/5 compromise eventually led to the abolishment of slavery, which, is complete bullshit. And it's actually, disrespect at the highest level, because you're trying to justify 3/5 compromise as to us black folk, essentially saying that we're justifying you being considered 3/5 of a human being.
These people, Randy, are dumb as hell. There were so many people who just wanted to end slavery. That's a lie. If there were as many John Browns as he described, it would have not taken a civil war. It would have not been a battle at Harper's Ferry. Gone.
No, this one has me, burned up, because this is my area. And this is why they want to get rid of CRT, critical race theory. This is why they want to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is why they are stripping our museums. They are banning books. They are ensuring that our kids do not learn their actual history so they can make up a history that puts them in a favorable light and that completely diminishes our history on this planet. They literally will make the enslavement of human beings sound as if it was something positive, and the majority of white people were fighting for our freedom, which we know is a lie. And so it so makes me angry when you hear people pass this false information, because he has a responsibility to tell the truth. But he is telling the truth that so many people want to hear because it makes them feel comfortable. And when we come out with the correct truth, which explains a lot of the truths we are living today, they work hard and make it illegal for us to do it. They work hard to block the truth because they don't like it. And they try to justify the current atrocities that they're doing. The fact that there is a bill that, again, said that we were not even human, that we were 3/5 of a human, and this jackass has the audacity to act like it was something positive is reprehensible. It's reprehensible.
Joy, the Klan was founded in Tennessee. Go to my iPad, Henry. This says, but by the early 1920s, this is Ball State University. By the early 1920s, Indiana was a center of Klan activity. At its height, the state had over 250,000 Klansmen. In the 1920s, journalist and social critic H.L. Mencken commented, quote, "It is commonly reported now that the banner Ku Klux Klan state is not Georgia, but Indiana." I guess that's where Micah got his history lessons from.
Correct. I mean, the problem here is that white people, many of them, Indiana Klan or not, instead of just facing what they did, what they are the inheritors of, and then having to do something about it. Because once you know that you have benefited from this system that enslaved people, then you have to do something about it. They know that their own children understand how America was created. And not to say that America is bad or that white people are bad, but that there are things that we have to address in our society and in our history. Instead of doing that, they'll believe anything else. And they are desperately looking for anyone, even if it doesn't make any sense, anything to hang on to it, whether it's photoshopped MS-13 things that they all know is photoshopped and not true, but they'll say it is. Whether it's saying that the 3/5 compromise was somehow meant to help Black people, if it's true, it doesn't matter. If it makes sense, it doesn't matter. If it's something that gives them plausible deniability, they will take it. This is my greatest fear. We are dealing with a cult in America. And that cult is, I'm sorry, white people.
My last comment on this goes to the Ball State article. Back to my iPad, Henry. It says the substantial growth of the Indiana KKK faltered when Grand Dragon D.C. Stevenson was arrested for rape and murder. When Klan-supported politicians did not facilitate his release from prison, Stevenson became a snitch. They didn't say that, but I'm saying it. Stevenson revealed the unsettling complex web of corruption in Indiana politics. Stevenson's confession revealed that the Indiana governor, Marion County Republic chairman, the mayor of Indianapolis, and Marion County commissioners, among other state and local officials, used the Klan's money and power to influence politics. Hoosiers who had joined the Klan to keep America safe, ooh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Quickly realized the Klan did not exist solely to support hate crimes, but to line the pockets of their leaders. Ooh, sounds real familiar. Membership quickly dropped and the KKK lost the majority of its public power in Indiana. And I'm sure the Lieutenant Governor of Indiana will call that DEI. I haven't taken a break all show, but after listening to that dumbass, I gotta take a break. We come back, our Tech Talk segment, back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
And this is a special episode that is near and dear to our heart, especially during Earth Month, where we're going to talk about how the environment impacts our everyday life and what you can do to help solve it. The issue is that the movement has not historically created a connection with us and has had narratives that really speak to our unique lived experiences and the environmental burdens and hazards that we experience. So there's really a narrative shift that needs to happen for the mainstream climate and environmental movement to really position itself as one that is for all of us. Only on The Other Side of Change on the Black Star Network.
Now that Roland Martin is willing to give me the blueprint, hey, Saraz, I need to go to Tyler Perry and get another blueprint because I need some green money. The only way I can do what I'm doing, I need to make some money. So you'll see me working with Roland. Matter of fact, it's the Roland Martin and Cheryl Underwood show. Well, should it be the Cheryl Underwood show and the Roland Martin show? Well, whatever show it's going to be good.
right, folks, electric vehicles are increasing all across the country, but the issue, charging stations, what happens when they break down, need to be repaired. I experienced that. I rented an electric vehicle when I was in Houston a few months ago, and man, when I was coming back, I needed to get a charge, but I passed a Buc-ee's. They had about 30 or 40 stations. They were all Teslas. They didn't work with the Genesis the Hyundai Genesis that I was driving. So then I went further. I didn't have many miles left, and the app told me there were 2 charging stations at this hospital. Rolled up there, ain't no charging stations. Then I called another company via the app, and they said they had charging stations that were 5.5 miles away, but they actually were not operating as well. This is one of the problems when it comes to electric vehicles, the inability for you to be able to locate charging stations. But what happened if the charging station is there and it doesn't work? Well, my next guest, they've created a company called Charge Help. And y'all, I know what that feeling is like because my ass was there. We need that charge help. Joining us now is Camille Terry, Yvette Ellis. Glad to have y'all here. So y'all aren't installing electric vehicle charging stations. What you're doing is your business is repairing them. Walk us through Charge Help.
Thank you so much for having us. So yes, my co-founder and I, we started Charger Help about 5 years ago, and it was really to help with EV adoption. We were seeing that charging infrastructure was not only inoperable, they were having a lot of software issues. There also wasn't a workforce that was created. And so my co-founder helped to create one of the first legislations around what an EVAC technician was and is. And we utilize technician and technology to essentially offer a fixed rate labor subscription that allows for folks that deploy infrastructure to have a level of trust.
So what you said a bill that created this, what state was this?
Sure. So we created the EV Charging Reliability Act, which was passed in California maybe about a year ago. And then my co-founder was the one that helped to create an EVSE technician, essentially labor job code with the Department of Energy.
So what happened here? Where did one of you have an experience like I did where y'all were like, damn, we trying to get stuff charged, everything is broke. Somebody should be fixing these dadgum things.
Well, yeah, so I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and I live in a community where we're close to the Hollywood sign, but it wasn't until COVID when a lot of people weren't driving their gas vehicles that I saw the Hollywood sign, right? And so I started to learn more about electric vehicles. My co-founder, she's from Compton. Both her parents passed away from, lung-related diseases. My mom passed away from lung cancer. So I guess that was one thing where I was like, oh, EVs can create a cleaner, greener environment. But then I was a part of a company where we were making software for the charging stations. And then I started to learn more about why the charging stations didn't work.
Yeah, my background is in workforce development. So when we were building out who this EVSC tech is and how to legitimize it, that's where I came in. And to figure out what's the most equitable way we can do that to give everyone an opportunity to learn this new skill that we saw then that would be a big deal now.
Mm-hmm.
So who hires y'all? Who is it cities? Is it counties? Is it private companies? Who would hire y'all?
So today our largest customers are actually utilities and then also fleet operators. So, and even, you think about even some of bus companies out in New York we work with as well, where they're having very large, electric vehicles that if it doesn't work, it's not just the inconvenience, it actually impacts their bottom line.
And so how has it been going in terms of how many companies have y'all signed up in how many states?
Sure. So we started in 2020. To date, we service about 2,500 charging stations across the United States of America. We've raised about 30 million in venture capital. We've trained over 1,000 people across the U.S. And I would say all in all, it's been going pretty well.
Agreed.
Questions from my panel. Randy, you first.
This is such a brilliant idea. Congratulations. Can you tell me more about this training? Because this seems like it could be a great job opportunities for people. Do you have a program set up that somebody can get certified? And is it online? How do they learn more?
Yeah, we actually wrote the first curriculum for EVSE training and worked with the Society of Automotive Engineering so they could create the exam to actually certify people. So it wouldn't just be a charter help thing, but a national opportunity for everyone. We do conduct training to prepare people for that certification, and you can find that on our website at charterhelp.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Eugene?
I guess my question is, what's the time frame? Let's say a person going from zero to being certified and deployed to the field. Because I agree. I mean, we're not going to see less charging stations. We're going to see more. And if we're having this problem here in America, I'm pretty sure there are other places that have that are converting to EVs that are having the same issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say, look, 3 months. But of course, the opportunity comes with redundancy and getting your hands. And we know what we've learned that people have different learning styles. So you could learn everything and need to apply it. A lot of folks that look like me and Camille, we're tactile learners and we need to get out there, feel in touch. So we have a training center here in LA that allows folks to take in-person training. We have charging stations here to help with that. But I would say to get you in the market to be able to compete for these jobs, 3 months of training, but you do need additional manufacturer training. This is still a bit of the Wild Wild West. So the standardization of it is coming. So it does change because it is not standardized yet, but 3 months to get trained and be able to compete.
Mm-hmm. Joy.
So this is an amazing idea. What are you doing to protect your company, and how have the impacts on federal funding and probably at this point even some state funding impacted you?
Sure. So the way that we protect our company is really through data. So, when we started the company, what we knew to be true was that technology couldn't replace people. And we had seen that because that's why the stations break, is because there's software issues, right? But we knew that there was an opportunity to marry essentially a great labor force and technology. And so when our technicians go out and solve most of the time the most complex software problems in the field, we're actually aggregating that data set back into a larger system. Last year, we actually aggregated our own proprietary data set of over 19 million unique data points. We have a field service application where we work with additional field service companies for them to utilize our field service app as well to continue to aggregate data from the field. We're not one to just be like, oh, AI, but we started to build out machine learning models to really start understanding how do you allow for that technician to be more impactful in the field, and more so to even protect that technician's job. Because what was happening was that some technicians would be hired on at minimum wage to go and cycle a breaker. But if I figure out a way to cycle that breaker remotely because I think that is fixing a problem, then next time that technician can be put on a problem that is harder to solve. And so it allows for job protection. It allows for that salary to increase over time. And so we today are the first folks that have really been able to really capture the solution in the way that we have. There isn't anyone that's approaching the problem the way that we have. And the last thing I'll say to that, we've just continued to deploy really beautiful technology that is really focused on that field service technician and is not, something that your everyday person wouldn't be able to use and be successful in using. And that, I think, separates us from a lot of folks who kind of build ugly tech.
Okay.
You are brilliant. You are going to hear from the Women's Tech and Telecom Partnership. I want you to talk to our women's groups and Girls Inc. I want you to talk to girls. You are an inspiration. Thank you, ladies.
So the question here, first of all, the jobs, are they working for your company or are y'all training them? How's that? So how's that working?
So initially, when we set out and we had to build this EVSE technician out, it was to build for charger help, but we weren't building a field service organization. But however, we did to an extent. A piece of charger help is field service. So initially, our first 20 technicians, and we've hired some since, was for charger help. But we don't want to oversaturate it and much like solar, leave folks on the roof. We want to make sure it was job trajectory. So a lot of our technicians have been hired our people that train through our program have been hired to other EV car companies as EVSE technicians now that it is a legitimate job position. But here, yes, our EV technicians are W-2 employees, and we did that on purpose for job security for them, so they can get medical. Their pay can increase versus a 1099.
All right. So, and then what are these jobs paying?
So we got to determine that, and we started our techs off with $30 an hour. Our techs can have grown then. We're 5 years old, but everyone started off with $30 an hour.
And we have techs now that they're getting poached and they're making $110,000 salary, so which is fine and it's great. But yeah, we're at 30.
So just a couple more questions. So are you 24 hours, meaning a unit goes down? What happens? Does a company notify you? Do you get an alert? And how? And give me a sense of how fast you've been able to bring an EV charging station back online.
Yeah, so I think the first kind of clarification is like charging issues are not always labor problems. So just sending someone on site actually doesn't always solve a problem.
Right.
Most of the issues that we see are interoperability and software interoperability issues that actually are more like macro problems. And so in that breath, right, we don't have 24/7 dispatching of technicians. And we've actually decided to grow a little slowly. So we identify customers where they don't need 24-hour support. So we're really working with customers where they have business hours. The earliest starting, I think, is 5 a.m., latest going into about 6 p.m. And so we really made sure to, one, grow smartly, grow strategically, and make sure that we can align ourselves with folks that, with how we can solve today. One day, and be successful. One day, would we like to offer 24/7? Sure, but that's very costly and eats into your bottom line very quickly. And if somebody's willing to pay for it, we will do it. But as of today, most people are not willing to pay for 24-hour service.
All right, then. Well, look, if people want to get more information, go ahead and pull up their information, folks. You can follow them on Twitter, Charge Help, YouTube channel, Instagram. Their website is chargehelp.com and LinkedIn as well. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that is it for us. Let me thank Joy, Eugene, and Randy for being on today's show. Thanks a bunch. Folks, if y'all want to support the work that we do, join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 people contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. If you can't do that, you can give less. We appreciate that. If you can give more, we appreciate that as well. We purposely do not charge a subscription fee because we want the content to be widely available. We didn't want to put it behind a paywall where the only way you can access it if you're paying a subscription fee. We didn't want to do that, so that's why we don't have a Patreon account. We just launched a Substack, but right now it's free, so we're not charging people for our content. So your donations are hugely important for the work that we do. If you want to give via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. I told everyone that Cash App changed their rules and close all of our accounts because of the type of company that we are. We're not an LLC, we are an S-Corp. And so in order for you to contribute via Cash App, you have to use the Stripe QR code to give via Cash App. You click the Cash App button to continue to contribute. You can also use the Stripe QR code for credit cards as well. If you want to send a check or money order, make it out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Again, Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037 7-0196. Give me some time. I check the mailbox every 10 days or so. So understand that it's a process we have to go through to actually get the checks and money orders, open the envelopes. I got to catalog everything. I have to sign the back of the check, and then I actually have to deposit them mobilely by taking a picture. The only issue is when you send money orders, sometimes the money orders and some checks do not take because of the formatting. So I have to physically send that to the bank. And so please be patient if you're using check and money orders. Again, what actually works best is electronics. So PayPal is paypal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is venmo.com/RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you want to download the Black Star Network app, please do so. It's on Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available bookstores nationwide. Download the audio version I read on Audible. If you want to get our merchandise, this is our newest t-shirt right here. MAGA chose between woke or broke. They chose broke. This was a quote from Anthony Scaramucci, so we put it on a shirt, and so I'm wearing it today. And so if y'all want to get this shirt, go to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com, or you can get our shirt hashtag. We tried to tell you FAFO 2025 instead of Project 2025. We got FAFO 2025, and also. Don't blame me, I voted for the black woman. That's a hugely popular shirt. Be sure to get that shirt as well. The QR code is right there. And again, go to rolandmartin.creator-spring.com or go to the blackstarnetwork.com. Also, folks, we want you to download the app Fanbase. And so download that app Android Play Store or Apple Store. If you want to invest in Fanbase, they've raised now more than $11 million, moving close to $12 million. The goal is $17 million in the Series A raise. Go to startengine.com/Fanbase to invest. Folks, that's it. Tomorrow's show, a crazy conversation between two white nationalists, Megyn Kelly as well as Tucker Carlson. And they claim that the Democratic Party is extremely anti-white, which is kind of interesting because there's a lot of white people in the Democratic Party. Yeah, I got a few words to say about that. That'll be tomorrow. Until then, go watch our video clips on our YouTube channel. Share them, please. That helps us when it comes to the revenue. Like them as well. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button. We should be more than 1,600 likes, y'all. We should be hitting at least 2,000 every single day. So hurry up, hit the like button before I sign off. And so, again, go to our YouTube channel, watch our videos, share our videos, like our videos, recommend our videos, because that also drives revenue when the views increase on our YouTube channel. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Hold on, and don't forget, support the other shows that we have, The Other Side of Change, Dr. Greg Carr's The Black Table, Reverend Dr. Jackie Hood Martin's Fulfilled. Support those shows, and I'm working on a business show, shooting that pilot real soon, so can't wait to make that happen. So lots of good stuff happening here at the Black Star Network, and your donations make all of that possible. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?